Well, hello guys. I don't record videos other than about my work, which is music distribution and promotion, but I thought we should do things fairly. So I did an analysis and decided to do it for anyone interested, or even if nobody watch it, I'm gonna do the same. So it's an extremely important topic because of the change happening worldwide, beginning now in 2022. And I have a question for everyone. Why Brazil is the most important country right now and why we should pay attention. So, I will start by talking directly to the Brazilian people. I know your country is going through huge changes right now, political, economic, and even cultural. And I also know that a small part of the population is trying to avoid the good change. So, Brazil, I don't think anybody has seen it. The whole world is actually watching it all happening in Brazil right now. So, Brazilians, especially if you believe all politicians care about you, this is for you. The more you defend them, the more you defend the politicians blindly, like they are your savior, the less they will have compassion or honesty in their speech and actions. It's the same in any country, doesn't change. Then you should question yourself, Brazilians. Is your political choice leaving a legacy? Is your political choice building a legacy? That's the question. Question yourself, Brazilians, and compare your country with other nations with similar resources. You must develop a vision. You must know where you want to get. And then you do your political choice. It's time for us to stop fighting each other and pay attention. The time is now for you to regain your freedom, Brazilian people. Let's continue using Brazil as an example and analyze it. Over the past 30 years, one of the richest countries on earth, Brazil, has been covered with favelas and exploited by international schemes of child sexual slavery. Pay attention. It's been 30 years of suffering, and now we have the biggest question. Will you continue supporting ineffective politicians who are directly responsible for the suffering and existence of 30 years old scheme of child sexual slavery in Brazilian favelas? Are you going to support that? Pay attention, Brazilian people. Are you going to support the same politicians from the past directly responsible for 30 years of child slavery scheme in the Brazilian favelas? They are responsible for the existence of these schemes. This is international. It's not a problem only in Brazil. I have to remind you that all politicians promised solutions that they didn't intend to deliver. This is a fraud. It's also a fraud when a politician party from Brazil commits crimes to gain an election, as done in 2018. For example, hacking the Facebook server to manipulate the number of audience on web lives to make it appear they have a high level of support when in reality they are not supported by nobody. They are not even followed by real people. This is not only a crime against Facebook, it's a crime against you, Brazilians. This Brazilian political party is cheating on you in daylight for more than 30 years, promising what they don't deliver and also making fake lives on Facebook and all social networks with fake followers and fake audience. Question yourself, Brazilians. Will you continue supporting the same politicians from the last 30 years? If your answer is yes, then watch this. It didn't stop here. There is a lot more shocking material from where this came from. Pay attention.
Look how strange this is. I opened here on Gleesy Hoffman's live. The live that she is doing. Here is the number of audience, 8,800. If I go to Maria do Rosario's page, her live got 8,700. If I go to Hatted's page, 9,100. So if I refresh the page, look at that. 9,200. Can you see it? All of them are exactly the same. Gleisi Hoffman, if I refresh it. 9200, Gleisi Hoffman. Maria do Rosario, 9200. Haddad, 9100. Let's refresh Haddad's page. $9,100. All of them with the same number of audience. If one goes down, the other goes down too. Look at that. This is a confirmation that they are using fake views on their lives. They have a server which, obviously, they pay to do the marketing. Then, while they do a live transmission, the server acts like a lot of profiles are watching it. When in reality, this is a fraud. Everything that comes from the PT party, if there is no illegality, it's not the PT party, obviously. Look at that. Look. I'm refreshing the pages very fast. It never goes below 9,000. In Facebook's history, nothing like this has ever happened. It's very unstable. The pages normally, while doing live transmission, the number goes up and down. Sometimes it blocks, goes 300 or 500 down. How is that possible? 3 pages getting exactly the same number of views like that. And it's for a long time. I refresh it and refresh again. It never changes. Check it out. Fernando Haddad, 9,800. Maria do Rosario, 9,700. Gleisi Hoffman, 9,900. Isn't the changes too small?
Did you see? This is for those who want the old politicians back. Will you continue to support what they deliver? Fraud. During this time in history, humanity is undergoing a great shift, waking up to something very important. Pay attention. In order to make our point clear, let's take Brazil as an example again. This is the beginning of a new cycle. Let's wake up, Brazilians. There is a great shift taking place in humanity which originates in Brazil. Right now, in 2022, there is a huge crossover taking place. If you couldn't see it, then wake up and pay more attention. Brazil is going from an extremely negative position described as a record of bad politicians, programs, corruption, and a whole political system exclusively built to enslave the population, super high level of case of child sexual slavery. And from there, the Brazilians are now acclaimed worldwide as the nation that saved the planet from a catastrophic food crisis, transforming a continent with the use of ultra technology, bringing real freedom to the population with real, efficient, and impressive political programs focusing on social responsibility. Brazilians, pay attention. A new era for humanity begins when Brazil, in 2022, the only country on Earth that preserved about 70% of its native rainforest, provides an example to all nations about achieving ultra-technological development while preserving not only its natural resource but also a large indigenous population. Brazilians, you are the only ones who achieved it in 2022. The Brazilians are making history right now. At this time, it's your turn, Brazil. You are not a country that will rule the world in the future. You already are the worldwide leader of a new conscience, which is putting the Brazilian nation in a new atmosphere, where they teach the whole world to have a new vision of politics, a sustainable economy with real social responsibility. Wake up, Brazilians. No nation could develop ultra technology and preserve its native rainforest, the size of the Amazon rainforest. You are the only one, Brazil. You are an example for all developed countries right now. Now, I leave this question for those criticizing Brazil internationally. For example, Leonardo DiCaprio. Your background is Italian, German, and Russian. A big mix exactly like the Brazilian population, so you are related to them. You know what it is to be assaulted and have your face and neck bleeding and fear for your life. That's exactly what happens every day in the Brazilian favelas. A whole population that's enslaved, fearing for their lives because of the huge international scam of drug trafficking perpetuating inside the favelas. You are a genius and a great actor today. Your productions have grossed about $7 billion, but you came from nothing. Are you sure you will continue to allow bad-intentioned powers to use your career to try to destabilize Brazil? Look, at this crucial moment, the Brazilian population is, for the first time, experiencing real emancipation from the 30 years old politician enslavement system that explores the favelas. Are you sure you will support it? Wake up, DiCaprio. And now, Mark Ruffalo. You came from a bartender from an Italian immigrant family into worldwide acclamation and nomination for an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Awards. You are a genius too. You have an amazing career today. But in 1990, through the play This Is Your Youth, you got to know what it is to be an abused teenager, involved with drug addictions, excess in sex, and substance abuse. So you know for sure what the politicians allowed to happen to the Brazilian young generation in the Brazilian favelas for the last 30 years. Are you sure you will continue allowing powers to use your career to continue supporting that, also to destabilize Brazil in a moment of change? And now, I'm just speaking to Anitta, Brazilian superstar. So you are a business genius too. You broke all cycles. You went from Brazilian favelas to worldwide superstar and millionaire before 30. An inspiration to the young generation and mainly an example for woman empowerment. You already know that there is an orchestrated movement in Brazil to continue allowing bad-intentional politicians to explore the fragile Brazilian electoral system, to keep exploring the population. One more time, they are trying to destabilize the country that is giving a show to the whole world of real fight against a 30 years old intercontinental scheme of child sexual slavery in the favelas. Will you let these powers use your career to perpetuate this crime against humanity in Brazil? Are you sure, Anitta? If artists are curious, I am the music producer Lisil, and I have the authority to question your attitude. I was a victim of child sexual slavery in the Brazilian favelas since I was 5. Took me 30 years to recover from traumas and transform my reality. I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Brazil, where I was born. One of the richest countries in the world, which in the last 30 years was governed by politicians who got millionaires but left the population behind in the favelas, where today in 2022, 3-month-old babies are still being sold as a child sex slave for the very lucrative pornographic film industry. My colleagues, artists, are you sure you allow your name to get into history as one of those preventing the break of the Brazilian population from 30 years cycle of social slavery? Open your eyes. You are being used by those who are trying to avoid the Brazilian population ascension, and you know what I'm talking about because all of you came from nothing. You know what it is to live at the margins of society. So now shut your mouth and stop trying to destabilize Brazil in the biggest moment in their whole history. It's not about right or left. It's all about the Brazilian political and social shift breaking the 30-year cycle of an old exploitative political system. Artists in the whole world. Brazil is choosing to change. Artists, actors, singers criticizing Brazil. Pay attention. Brazil is choosing to change. Don't steal their opportunity because you already had yours. Please, let's fight supporting social justice, not supporting bad-intentioned politicians. It's at this moment that the Brazilian population begins to reclaim what has been stolen from them, the rich country and its resource. Brazilians are breaking the old exploitative political system for good and ascending. Let them be. Brazil, it's your turn. Show the world that corruption is not a characteristic of your culture, but freedom, development, social responsibility, and justice. I will leave just one question for all Brazilians now. In the last 30 years, there is no politicians who could stop child sexual slavery in the Brazilian favela. You will still have 3-month-old babies being sold in your favelas to be sexual slaves internationally. It's an extremely shameful position for your country, a country such as Brazil that's so rich. Do you really want to put in power those politicians from the old system? Isn't it already evident how inefficient they are? Please, don't accept less than what you deserve, Brazil. Stop focusing on if the new politicians are left or right. Doesn't matter. Look to your past and compare. If old politicians in 30 years couldn't deal with the shameful problem of child sexual slavery, or even water to drink in some regions, even moving billions and billions per year, don't you think it's clear that they will deliver to you and your family more of the same poor service? Wake up, Brazilians. Don't bring old politicians back. It's your chance to renew and finally change. If you ask why, I won't answer this question. For the first time in 30 years, the Brazilian population has two sides of politicians who are opponents. And this is wonderful, as they fight with each other to prove their services are better, as a competition. Before, both sides were playing together and stealing the money from your pocket through excessive taxes above taxes and sending it to illegal corruption schemes for their own benefit. Don't bring old politicians back, Brazilians. Open your eyes and think for yourself. Don't keep accepting less than you deserve. Your country is one of the richest countries in the world. Bring politicians who will allow you to benefit from your country's resource as they should be. Now, this one goes to those who guarantee the electronic devices currently being used in the Brazilian elections are totally safe. Currently, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and Apple join forces with many other companies in the whole world, and they are doing a worldwide alliance to protect their system as it's vulnerable. They are now part of FIDO Alliance. What is that, FIDO Alliance? If you don't know what that means, do some research by yourself. It's a clear confirmation that the big techs, the biggest companies in the world, have systems that are vulnerable. Even as competitors, they work together to combat hackers. Are you really going to continue affirming that the Brazilian elections are safe? That the Brazilian voting system are safe? This is a question directed to the Brazilian Supreme Court members Alexandre de Moraes, Barroso, and Luiz Fachin. So, your electronic system is better than Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Facebook together. For your information, more than 14 social networks right now are so vulnerable that even a part of your country has been breaking the law for a long time, paying good money for people to hack their web lives on Facebook, those that nobody's watching, and then they put fake audience. But the politicians pay for electronic makeup to make it appear they have a great audience following them. What's not true and what's a fraud. Based on what was shown in the video some seconds ago, people like Haddad, Manuela Dávila and their partners in 2018 were already doing that. A fraud on Facebook Lives. Don't believe me? Do your own research. Search for the Facebook page Eu Vou Quebrar o Elo da Corrupção, which means I'm gonna break the cycle of corruption. It's all about political fraud. It's about the biggest Brazilian fraud that's called Lula da Silva. This is just a character. Lula da Silva, this is just a character who is right now posting fake, manipulate images on Twitter, getting photos of very small groups of supporters and replicating it many times in the same picture to create a huge crowd who is supposed to be following him. Nobody's there at his events. There are no videos of him walking on the streets with huge crowd. Lula da Silva is a ghost politician. Everybody's watching that. If they have fake support on social networks, also fake images of big crowds supporting him at events, the conclusion is that the Brazilian election results are all configured to make him the winner, but the fake winner. But the whole world is watching Brazilian voters right now, and what we can see is that the majority is not wearing red, as shown in the fake pictures posted during an electoral campaign. There is no more time for you, Mafia. Wake up. Now, Brazilian people, pay attention. All the names I mentioned here are just a little piece of a puzzle, which means international powers interfering in the Brazilian election. But they are all little Muppets. Look to those behind them. Look to those behind them. Open your eyes, Brazilians. The collective shift just started a new atmosphere, a new conscience, and a new vision. Embrace the new vision collectively, Brazilians. Then question now and manifest your questioning of what seems or is wrong in your country, in your election. This is your right. Brazilians are not corrupt, and they have chosen to change now.